Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Kissy. So I had a meeting today and it seems that the topic of conversation is one of a serious nature. We must discuss certain things before we can start a new beginning. A new beginning that is going to be realized because you can sense that the culmination of that cycle actually is officially complete. But anyways, so the first thing I was listening to, the first thing that came through was, let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that make me. Let's talk about sex. Okay. No, but getting serious. Let's talk about sex, okay? Why was religion created to protect sex as sacred? Religion is a reverence for the gods. I took notes, by the way. All right, firstly, religion is a belief in a superhuman power. It's the worship of a superhuman power, especially God or gods. It's an organized system of religious attitudes, beliefs, and practices. Organized system. And it's a reverence for the gods or the reverence for a sacred thing. A sacred thing. So religion is reverence for a sacred thing, that which we want to say superhuman power. How is sex a superhuman power? Well, just imagine you go into puberty and voila, you realize this intense power that comes over you, that invigorates you, that gets you right? Or you fall in love and you feel this amazing pull to bond with this person. I'll get to something in a moment. So, sacred means connected with God. You feel connected with God when you're in love. You feel connected with God when you're making love. You feel like you're connected with God when you finally feel safe. You finally feel like you won. You finally feel like the world is in your favor, or the favor from the world is upon you. But sacred is also dedicated to religious purpose, deserving veneration. And veneration is reverence, and reverence is great respect. And great respect is, hold that thought, folks, Q, inspired. Oh, Q. Where did I get that? The letter Q. Awe-inspired. Awe-inspired. Great respect is to be awe-inspired by the dignity, wisdom, dedication, or talent of a person. Okay? So, taking it back to what is sacred, based on what religion means. To be an organized system in your religion. And your religion being that of having reverence for God, a sacred thing. That sacredness being connected with God, deserving veneration, reverence, which is great respect, for that which you are inspired by, that dignity, that wisdom, dedication, or talent of a person. Dignity being the quality of being worthy, of of honor or respect. The quality of being worthy of honor and respect. It's a quality. And then we see it's a sense of pride in oneself. Pride and confidence, self-respect. Now what's interesting is the word dignity. The word sense. Oh my goodness. Hold that thought, folks. I've been coughing. Oh, that one came from like nowhere. But I wonder why. Hold on. Sane. Okay, there it is. Sane. Don't say that word. We all sane. Oh my God, that just reminded me of the movie The Others. At the end, we're not dead. We're not dead. The children. Oh, hold that thought, folks. All right. Let me go back. A sense of pride, but that sense is a sane and realistic attitude. To situations or problems. Okay? Sane and realistic attitude. All right, let me stop being sarcastic, God, please. So why is sex and marriage sacred? Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that make. Okay, let's talk about sex. So think about this, folks. Ay, qué desastre, santísimo. Listen, folks, you're going to have to take the good with the bad of me, okay? I am sloppy. I am messy. That didn't sound correct. Okay, let me stop. It's supposed to be serious. It's supposed to be. All right. Back to this. Okay. So think about this. You commit in a partnership. You say, hey, we're going to be a couple. And you want to be a couple. If that's not the basis of your connection, for it to be sacred, because of the reverence, the respect that you have for yourself, and that is venerated within you, that you have that quality, right? That dignity within you. When you connect with someone, that's supposed to be sacred, or you're supposed to at least take it as I understand that there are people that, you see it a lot on TV, you see it a lot in social gathering, especially younger generations, where it's very casual. They make it very friends with benefits. It sounds really, it's just friends with benefits, because there's no body in it. There's no body in it. It's just an act out of condition, or it's an act out of normalizing. So when you see those things, or when you hear about these things, or when those are topics of conversation that parents have to have with their children regarding sex and intimacy, the reason why it's important to have that as a basis is because your body is a temple. Okay, let me stop. I'm not trying to make light of it like that, but it's true. Your body is a temple. And here's what happens. Why is it important to wait till marriage? Why would we want you to wait till marriage? Or why would I say that it's probably the better idea? There's two things going on here. Something else that I wrote that's very important to mention. Naive religion is chaos for the self. Intentful religion is chaos for others. Let that marinate. Naive religion is chaos for yourself. Intentful religion is chaos for others. When you naively believe in a higher superpower, you can easily be taken advantage of, and it creates chaos for you, confusion for you. When you are intentful in your religion and you know the reverence and all of that, and you understand what it means to be connected with God, you won't allow just anything around you, and that creates chaos for others, because now you cannot be controlled. Now you have standards, now you have boundaries, now you say, wait, this can't be in my best interest because it doesn't align with what this has taught me I'm supposed to be treated as, right? So, and then why did I hear like a high school chant? It ain't no sweat. This game ain't over yet. All right, that's all, folks. Alrighty. Anyway, was that all? Was that all? No, there was more. There was more. Ah, yes. Okay. So think about when you're with someone, to be in that space of God and to trust. So when I say naive religion would be to have reverence for a God. It's like putting all that God energy in a vessel that may or may not have that. And when I say may or may not, when you're naive, you don't have discernment. You wouldn't know. So you're like, oh, I'm going to trust you wholly, because I love you. And my love is equal to that reverence that I give to God, I give to my connection. And in that way, I'm open. In that way, I give my heart, my soul, my everything. When you do that, blindly trusting because you feel safe, when you're in a marriage, you're supposed to feel that way. You're supposed to always feel safe. You're supposed to feel secure. That's where you're supposed to have the most freedom of expression, okay? And the space for you to be in your chaotic energy, in your passion, without a sense of antennas being put up because you have to protect your space. Fear because you don't trust that you're being protected. With your vulnerability. That's where you're vulnerable. And so when you have a situation, a relationship, think about a young teenage boy or a young teenage girl. Can't imagine the feeling of the distrust or the insecurity of, do you love me? Am I the only one for you? That feeling, that unsafety makes for the connection to be chaotic for you, for the person that goes into it from that space. Because when you go into it with, you understand your reverence for God. And did I already say this? Did I already mention that superhuman power? It would be, people think, oh, God is, this. Some people still have a Santa Claus vibe for what God is. And that's fine, everybody looks at things in different ways, but it just seems to me that when you truly understand, like some people fall into a state of trust and a state of safety, and commitment is not even a question, doubt is not even an option. It's like we just know, we just fell into it and we love each other, and everything is perfect. Okay, but you may have people that connect intimately before they're emotionally or mentally or even psychologically prepared to be that vulnerable. Or maybe those that say, oh, we just fell into it, maybe they're not so vulnerable. Maybe you see a side of them that they're comfortable with, but there's a whole other part of their life that goes unexplored. Maybe you're the type of person that wants to explore all aspects of life with your person. And when you want to explore all aspects of life with your person, it brings out a lot of chaos. It brings out a lot of insecurity. It brings out a lot of confusion. It brings out a lot of distrust, or it brings out a lot of things that you may not be aware of. You're bringing, it's like, oh, we got to deal with this, we got to deal with that, I got to face this about you, I got to face that about me, I got to look and doubt you, distrust you. You cannot be with God in that state of confusion. So you cannot make love in that state of confusion. You make fear. When you make fear, you create monsters. So imaginings, and worlds that are dark, worlds that are very traumatic, worlds that are very painful, worlds that are very fear-based, creates chaos. And so that is why sex is sacred. Now there's this debate of, oh, how things used to be, because there was a time where, as long as you naively gave into religiously the sacred union in that reverence for God, you did that. But what happens if you're doing that and the person you're doing that with, that you think you're both in the same space and you're not, and they are using that and going elsewhere with it, basically disillusioning you, closing up your heart, putting fear into your space. Now you're going to close those doors, right? Now you're not making love, you're making war, or you're not making anything at all. And when you're not making anything at all, that brings up resentment, that brings up third parties, that brings up all those other things that people are not prepared to deal with. And those are the things that traumatize, those are the things that when you hold back and you close your heart and now you're sleeping with the enemy, that's a slow, painful death. But a lot of people will use that as a crutch, or live with a situation that's not tolerable, that they forget. How was I before this? How did I live before this? Wasn't I happy before this? And then they'll say, oh, things were easier back then when you were in illusion. But now if you have those standards, now you're in your sacred energy. And you look at that and you don't tolerate, you rather close the door. It's like, no, you're shut out. I'll live in my heaven with my God, with myself. And until I know that you that what I'm giving, I'm receiving, then you cannot enter my dome. And it's not so severe like that. But I mean, people do that mentally. People mentally check out. That's no longer creating a godly space. It's like, that's like empty calories. That's like, sex with no feelings. That's exactly that. So talking about, I have reverence for God, but not living in that space with everything you have, fudge. Sorry, I know. I just... Waking up and not feeling connected to God. And what does feeling connected to God feel like? Feeling connected to God is that sense of feeling in love. It's the same sense of I'm on purpose. I'm here. I'm in gratitude. I love being here. Life couldn't be better. Everything I need, I already have. And you feel that sense of security. But what happens when you have to fake that life because now you're betrayed by that? It's not God, because look how you spoke to me. Look how you treated me. Look what you brought into our space. Look what you did to my trust for you. That is not that you cannot forgive. It's not that you cannot fix that. Problem is, if you mention it and you bring it up and you're not met with that love in return, or you're not met with that sense of remorse, you're not met with that sense of, and it's not about humiliation rituals to humiliate anyone, but I have a friend, a mentor. She is like a mother to me. And I love her dearly. And when I left where I was living before I came to Texas, I left a few connections kind of I don't want to say unresolved, but that there's a communication that is to be had. And it's nothing, it's nothing difficult, but I can only imagine that without communication, there would be confusion, or there would be doubt, or there would be questions, or there would be like, I wonder why and what and whatever. But when you love someone, when someone that you know loves you, cares for you, and genuinely has your best interests, which are very rare people in your life, you have an obligation. You can't brush that off. You feel the sense of responsibility to make it right, to clear the air, to fix the situation, or not even. When I say fix, I mean to address what you feel may have broken a bond. Maybe the bond isn't broken. It's not about it being broken. It's just the connection isn't as it was. It's like you go from spending all the time together, working together and all this, to all of a sudden you're not spending time together, and no real explanation as to why you parted ways. That doesn't serve when there's love. When there's real love, you always feel the sense of, I need to make this right. You'll do whatever on your part to make it right. You don't want the person you love to ever feel a sense of doubt that you love them, or that you value them, or that you have that they are sacred to you. Love is sacred. So when you treat your boyfriend, girlfriend like, it's not a sacred thing because you just want to play around, or because you're a man, or because, women's lib, whatever, however you call it. Whatever you do when you're single, you have no responsibility to anyone, and you come correct. You say, I'm not in a place to, people talk like, I just want to have fun. You can say, I just want to have fun. I don't want to get to know, I don't want to get too serious. And you can have casual sex and all that stuff, and it's not that you can't do that. You can do that. But you are mentally, emotionally, psychologically aware and prepared to that's not godly. In other words, I'm not being vulnerable with you. I'm not being open, fully myself with you. This is just that. So in other words, there's no strings attached. There's no connection here. But to be that way, you have to be that way. You can't just say it to be that way, wanting it to be something different. You can't be that way trying and then pretending to be this way. Especially that is wrong. Why? Because if somebody's letting you know, no, for me this is sacred, and you pretend that this is sacred for you, that's a violation of someone's intimacy. If you say, you're better off saying, this is not godly for me. This is just pleasure and fun and lighthearted, no strings attached, nothing personal, nothing emotional. And give the person the opportunity to be like, oh, I don't want to do that. Bye. Or, all right, we can have fun like that. I'll treat it like we're just having ice cream today. We can do that. We can just go have ice cream. Let me stop being foolish. All right. So, why is marriage sacred? Because it implies directly that that's where you stand. That I don't play with this space. This space is sacred. What we do here doesn't get betrayed. What we have here together isn't betrayed. And whatever we have here together is ours. What we've agreed upon. What we've agreed upon. I love you, you love me. I'm with you, you're with me. Or we are together 6 months of the year, but the other 6 months we're not. I mean, whatever agreement between the two that both agree, this is what is sacred to us. We agree that this is our sacred connection. That this is what it, and now your sacredness with God Creator, that vulnerability of who you are. Maybe you don't even share that with your spouse. Maybe that might be okay. Maybe your spouse doesn't expect you to be an open book. Maybe there is a part of you that is just for you. Just yours. Just your autonomy in life that is between you and God. However, does that betray your contract with another? If your contract states, this is who we are, and this is what those rules between us are, me and you and me, all the time, no one else, until the end of time, or until we grow apart, until we seriously cannot bond it any further. Like, if you're both fighting for the relationship, perfect. But if eventually becomes, I'm fighting for the relationship and you're fighting not for the relationship, then you know you have a problem there. But at least this marriage sacredness, the reason why it's valuable is because it's written. You trust that this is exactly what I stand on. This is exactly what I mean, and this is it, and I'm prepared for that. That means you're committed. You're in it for, you have no desire to go outside of that boundary. This is my sacred space. You are my sacred space. Loving you is part of my sacred space. That's committing. That's love. That's that. So when you go into it with that, and the other person goes into it with no respect for self, therefore will never have respect for you, therefore can never give the safety and for you to make that space sacred. And then men will wonder why they have erectile dysfunction, or they'll wonder why their women rather sleep than be with them, or they'll wonder why they're always tired and bitter or angry or mad or inconsistent or whatever. Because those are the things, that lack of safety, that lack of security, that lack of self-respect, that is part of what it means to be sacred, is lacking. So that's the message. Oh wait, was there another? No. All right, I'll come back soon. Take care.